Good morning. Welcome sa press briefing ni Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, Rocky. Good morning. Having recently completed his first 100 days, we would like to further compliment his achievements by referring to his vision and mission as president. In his inaugural speech, the president described his vision for Filipinos as a comfortable life for all. His threefold mission was encapsulated in number one, reduce poverty from 26 to 17%. Number two, to establish an orderly society by reducing crime, corruption, and illegal drugs. And three, to seek final and lasting peace with within its borders, specifically with CBP, NDF, NPA, and the MIMN groups. In other words, to seek a peaceful nation, no internal wars, to have orderly communities, to have just and fair dealings, and prosperity, which is opportunities for all. In pursuit of his vision, the President has exercised political will and acted on several issues, a number of which are going to be expounded on this morning by our guest, Assistant Secretary and Deputy Executive Director of Performance and Project Management Office of the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Jonas George Soriano. However, one area which has taken up a lot of attention has been his campaign against illegal drugs, where his threats against those engaged in the trade and deaths related to the campaign seem to have outweighed the actual result. For example, 700,000 plus have surrendered. The rehabilitation efforts of rehab centers, programs, and donations, and the expansion from national security issue to public health issue. Another matter that has taken a lot of space in the public mind is issue with the US and the EU Parliament, whom he perceives as dealing with him and the nation as unequal partners. Of equal, if not more importance, is the issue he sees in the Filipino mind what he calls a mendicant attitude. And so the president is engaged, not just in a matter of state building, but also of nation building, which is basically addressing the Filipino mind and character and love for country. As promised, we'd like to ask Mr. George Soriano to share with us this morning. Mr. Soriano is a professor at both Ateneo, UP, and at DAP. He was active in the NGO, private donor and national government and microfinance organization as consultant, board, manager, and service volunteer. He's got 2-3 kilos worth of data here. But more than that, he was my classmate at in the Masters of Entrepreneurship program, Social Development major at the AAM. He's a very interesting character and and very knowledgeable about the subject matter that he's going to engage in. I specifically asked him to come this morning simply because as I was talking with him, it occurred to me one of the issues that has been raised about the president was his consultancy, or perhaps maybe need to consult more with other sectors. And this morning, I'd like George to enlighten us about the volumes of consultation that are happening right now. Mr. Soriano, please.
Good morning po. I'm representing the Office of the Cabinet Secretary, Secretary June Vasco. And since this administration started, there have been a round of consultations. In fact, I was trying to make a total number of stakeholders involved. And these are not only individuals, these are organizations, these are people involved in various walks of life. Almost close to 7,000 people have been consulted. From the mayors, governors, in the LGU consultations that were held in Davao and Manila, to the environmental summit that was done by Mangina again in Mindanao, to the last summit yesterday that was done through Undersecretary Isa, where she brought in 200 people from the youth sector. All of them being part of a process of understanding what this administration wants, and more importantly, listening to what they want. Ang kapal-kapal ng agenda, to the point na in this administration, officially we have a 10-0 agenda. This is the socio-economic agenda that was crafted in Davao with the businessmen. What is emerging is a more than 11 plus agenda detailing all the issues of the various sectors. Kasi nakita rin ng presidente, ang isa sa hinahanap talaga ng tao is not only really security but also development. How do they work together? And part of the issues is really, before we even do anything, we have to listen to what people want and do. And more importantly, this change that happens cannot be done without their support. And so far, with this 11, I hope, if, beg your pardon lang, I couldn't give this all to you kasi it's not yet arranged. No? So many agendas, and what we're planning is, by next week, we'll be calling a lot of meetings to try and harmonize. Kasi we cannot have a 30-plus agenda. We must communicate to our stakeholders in the Philippines and in the world. This is what the Philippines will be doing in the next 6 years and in the next 30 years in bringing about development in the Philippines and also bringing about the welfare and security of our people. The platform that we're working on is combining both the development needs and the security needs of our people. So with this, right now, what we're hoping is if we can consolidate for you in the next few weeks, these 3 platforms, there are 3 ongoing. The socio-economic agenda that was done in July with the businessmen. The social development initiatives agenda that was done in August. And the national security agenda that was done also by the National Security Council, formerly started nung panahon ni Pinoy and is being updated today. How to put that together with the other agendas, kasi there are agendas on the international, there's still the SDGs. How to put that together will be the challenge in the next few weeks. At the same time, it's also pushing a lot of, for the first time, in most, if not all these consultations, the secretaries stay, not only for 1 hour, not only for 30 minutes to deliver a speech, but stay the whole time to really engage. And up to today, when people need to meet with the secretaries, they find time and find ways so that people can go to them to air out their issues and work out these problems. The last thing that I'd like to also mention, in the next few weeks, we're trying to consolidate also the outputs of what have the different offices done. Part of our work in the Cabinet Secretary is also to monitor, to find out, based on the 6 to 7 cabinet meetings in the last so many months, what have actually been accomplished? What are outputs, which basically are the deliverables, the products that the different agencies do? What are outcomes and impact? What directly hit the stomach, the heart, and his overall well-being? So hopefully if we can complete this, we can also show you a total picture. Because what's happening now is not only the president talking about security, but this whole government working together, some based on their own initiatives, others already converging with the other government groups together with the CSOs and stakeholders to develop programs, projects to make things work. Kaya ang nangyayari dito, you know, you should attend really cabinet meetings kasi you will really see the integration. You should attend the consultations because you really see the exchanges. Sometimes people would just stand up and say to a secretary, you know, that's wrong. This is how it should be. And the secretary would try to patiently explain, you know, this is what we should do. And the nice thing about the consultation is what we agree and what we disagree, but we agree to disagree. And these are the important things. Kasi in the next 6 years, we have to map out a plan. It cannot just be talking about it. What will we accomplish on a per year basis? How will we show that lives have changed? So this is what we will be presenting hopefully next week with the help, of course, of Secretary Abelia, to show you also not only finishing these agendas. We've been tasked through the office of during the last cabinet meeting, we've been tasked Both NEDA and NSC has been asked to really finish the Philippine Development Plan and the National Security Plan within the earliest time. So these all are keeping us in a flurry of activities. Yun na muna po. Okay. There was the Environmental Summit that was on August 4 and 5, mga 400 in Davao. There was the Social Development Summit attended by 514 participants in Davao. There was the Health Agenda Summit that was done here in Manila, attended by 630 participants. There was the Sports Summit that was held in Ultra, 300 representatives, both local, national, and sports associations. There was the Climate Change Summit, where there were two important activities. A pre-summit, which included issues on Yolanda, which was done on September 23, and then an actual summit in Cebu, attended by 300 participants, October 6 and 7. There was a Culture and Protection Development Agenda Summit on October 6 and 7, attended by 600 participants. There was also an Anti-Poverty Summit by NAPSI, October 7 and 8, attended by 600 participants. There was the LGU Development Summits done September and October, which included all ARM, Visayas, Mindanao, Luzon, NCR, and Southern Luzon participants. Then there was the Partnership Against Poverty Summit by the Office of the Vice President, which was done October 10. Yesterday was the Youth Summit held by and organized by Undersecretary Isa, attended by 216. We are still expecting 3 more summits at the minimum. One is an indigenous summit to be sponsored by the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples. The other is an educational summit, which will be sponsored by DepEd, CHED, and TESDA. And there is an emerging labor summit that will be done by the Department of Labor and Employment in participation between TUCP and KMU and other labor organizations. All of these are parts of trying to evolve the agenda so that from the original 10, we can have a balance of all the agendas that are needed to run our country for the next 6 years.
Questions? Dexter Ganibe? Do you have any questions? Alex, Pia Reñado from Rappler.
Good morning, sir. Sir, could we just have, even as early as now, perhaps if you don't have the summary of the plan, maybe would you have any indicators of the success of the poverty programs that have been started in the 100 days? Any figures to prove that there is progress being made in the poverty alleviation?
Right now, I can't say specifically. The report started coming in, if I remember right, last Friday. So we're still consolidating it. And it will not be fair to say immediately. Kasi when the different agencies report, sometimes we have to group them. What is an output? What is an outcome? In the past administration, malakas yung, okay, I put up a road. But the question is, if you put up the road, did the people's lives change? These are things that we still have to follow through. So right now, we don't have the figures yet. Don't have the figures. And the second one is we really are relying a lot also with another group, which is NEDA. Kasi NEDA has the machinery to really see the impact of what the government is doing.
Other questions? No more? Okay. Alexis Romero, Philippine Star.
Good morning, ASEC. Former President Fidel Ramos said in an interview that President Duterte should focus on other aspects of leadership. He should also step up on other aspects aside from the war on drugs. With these things that you just mentioned, do you think he's doing that?
He's doing a lot that people don't see. Because what he does is, especially during the meetings that most of us don't see, gives a lot of directives. That's why a lot of the meetings, the cabinet meetings, last so long. Because it's a basic issue. Okay, how do we shorten the time where people actually do their requirements? What do we do about this problem? What is happening with issues of titling. Bring that agency to me. Let's meet with them. It's that kind of action that people don't see. Because he believes that, with the secretaries with him, all of them want to do great things. Because feeling nila, well, we have only 6 years. If we need to do a change, we do it now. So ang nangyayari, every secretary wants to get an ear to the president and say, this is what I believe should happen. This is my proposal. But I need some help from you, President. Ito yung mga kailangan namin. And during the cabinet meetings, it's that invigorating. Yun lang, you don't see it. The people that see it are, of course, the different secretaries, and of course, our cabinet, Jun Nevasco. Kasi he's been in charge of trying to get all these cabinet secretaries to move as one in a way that they have their own ways of doing things.
So you're saying this administration is not just focused on drugs, security?
No.
Okay.
No,
Do you think
no.
the president should articulate more these things in his speeches, hindi yung puro lang tungkol sa drugs or puro tungkol lang sa... Do you think he should articulate more on these aspects of governance?
Ang hirap ng ano. I cannot think for the president kasi, if you were given the stage of being president and you were asked the same question, how would you also answer it? I cannot answer. What I can say is, what is not being said is not the one that is not being captured. And I think that's the one that's important because if people don't see what the different aspects are happening, there are changes. People are saying already. Kami, we were really waiting for the approval rating. Sabi namin, tingnan natin, 71. To a president, ang daming nangyayari. These are the things people are feeling. But kami, like what Ma'am said, we still have to translate it to something more concrete. And the challenge of our office is to show that concreteness. And what we're trying to do is work together with the other offices to make sure when we say something, it really does happen. Ayaw na rin namin yung parang binibenta namin yung sarili. Ito kasi, nagawa namin, so many, etc. We built so many bridges. But in the end, anong change? And that's our challenge. And hopefully, we can do a better job in the next few weeks. And in this next 6 months to do that.
Asa, good morning. Etong, kasi nabanggit kanina ni spokesman Abella, yung target ng Pangulo na i-reduce ang poverty incidence from 26% to 17%. Meron ba tayong timeline sa inyong tanggapan? Katulad nung ginagawa ng ating men in uniforms sa ating authorities sa war on drugs na in the span of 3 months, bumaba ng 50% or 49% ang crime prevalence sa Pilipinas. Paano ho natin masasabi na mararamdaman kasi hindi naman nakikita yung pag-reduce ng poverty, it is felt by sa mga tao. Paano po natin mai-quantify yung may timeline po ba tayo na in 1 year mararamdaman ng ating mga kababayan yung pagbaba ng poverty incidence?
One of the good presentations that was done during the Social Development Initiative Summit was a presentation made by the Dean of Ateneo School of Government. He said, we have so much problems in terms of getting people out of poverty. And maybe the easiest indicator will be employment. Our problem is our economy, we graduate around 1 million every year. And out of 1 to 1.2 million according to him, only around, nung panahon ni GMA, around 580 get employed, 580,000. Panahon ni Pinoy, around 620,000 get employed. So, you have a 10 million workforce that's underemployed or unemployed. Then you have a continuing 400 to 600,000 that join the labor force that are not able to earn a living. So, what we're looking at is if we can work with the numbers of where are these people, how do we combine what the different secretaries are thinking about. Secretary Judy is working with the 4-piece program. Ma'am Gina said, environment without helping the poor will not work. We must do something also for the poor. and will form models. She's proposing 30 models just to test it out and then move it forward. We have others that are coming in. So ako, ang parang hinahabol na model is, you're right. I think NEDA, to our mind, already knows where the poor are through the different agencies. The target is, what can make it work? Ngayon, ang nakikita namin to make it work, it has to be a combination of the national sectoral approach and the local government unit approach. Kasi without the two working together, hindi mangyayari yun. That's why after the agendas had been formed, and after the Philippine Development Forum, where we'll be talking with our partners that are going to help us for the Philippines, we will be going from one region to another, discussing the programs with the LGUs, so that the LGUs can also work with us, work with the national government in making things happen. Kasi in the end, it cannot always be national. So even if we're up here and do this, the impact will not be as great, not unless, one, we synergize horizontally, but we work very closely and synergize also vertically. And that's why the President made an effort to even attend the local government consultations. Sinabi niya talaga, be bygones. It's now time to work together. And the LGU is a pillar. Eh, ang kagandahan ng ating gobyerno, we have already 3 or 4 local chief executives that are in national government, who are the cabinet people. And these are pushing even our own frameworks. Dati, ang tingin natin, national does everything. Now, ang sabi lagi sa akin ni CABSEC through our Undersecretary Gloria Mercado, lagi niya sinasabi, we have to work closely with the local government units. They are the pillars. If we keep on doing everything on our own, we will have a slight effect. It will change. But if we want it long-lasting, we need the LGUs with us. But that will mean convergence at all levels. Convergence horizontally, convergence vertically.
Thank you. Question? Rose Novenario? Hataw?
Good morning, sir. May statement kasi si Vice President Leni Robredo the other day yata na ang sabi niya, yung drug problem daw ng Pilipinas ay resulta raw ito ng kahirapan. So, ano po yung maitutulong ng drug war ng Administrasyong Duterte para po mabawasan ang kahirapan, para mabawasan na rin siguro yung mga drug peddlers, yung mga small-time players po sa illegal drugs industry? Ano po yung proyekto ng administrasyon po tungkol doon?
There are 2 or 3 initiatives that are working. One is being done by DILG. They call it Masa Masid. They are launching a campaign in partnership with the church and the LGUs to work on a rehabilitation program. Kasi they were informed during this technical meeting kasama ang DOH, hindi naman lahat ay yung wala ng pag-asa. I mean, if you take drugs too much naman talaga, after a while, wala ka na eh. And ang tansya nila, of course, I don't know the official figures, pero it's not a big percentage. There are a lot of people that really need treatment, and from treatment, how to earn a living. So when they held these summits together with the LGU, the agreement was, one, can we help each other in putting up rehabilitation centers? Second, these rehabilitation centers must be tied up to livelihood initiatives so that gagaling ang tao at pag gumaling, meron siyang gagawin productively. Kasi lumalabas pamilya ang tinatamaan eh. So ang need for the integration of livelihood is very important. The other one that's being worked out is we're working very closely also with corporate organizations to try and look at not only the development side, but this problem of drugs. Kasi it's not that easy when you put up a facility, you need the complete array. You need a psychologist, you need people treating. It's a daily conversation with those that have been hit by it. So what has to happen, and they're proposing, is also how does the private sector also contribute to this? And the third one is groups working with the different summits. Like in the Youth Summit, they'd like to be part of it. They'd like to share their experience. And they'd like to volunteer. The other one that we're seeing, even before we launched this program, and DILG launched this program. The LGUs have also been doing their own share. In fact, we found out there are models of convergence between local governments, health, national agencies, and the church to try and work out these initiatives. I don't know where the exact places are, but if you invite the ILG, especially they'll tell you, ito, nangyayari, ganito. And they're launching it. Some have already launched theirs, others are still building theirs. Kaya ang tama kayo, ma'am, kasi in the end, we're really looking at the complete package. Kasi after we've already asked them to change, the change cannot happen just by saying, I surrender. That's why the word they're using is not anymore surrenderise. They're using surrenderer. Kasi you're not trying to change only an action that you do, but how do you make them, help them go through new lives? So this is not only by Vice President Lenny. This is also being emphasized also by the President. This is also being emphasized by the different secretaries. Kasi in the end, you cannot solve the problem if you cannot also give these people 700,000. Ang projection, 3 million. 3 million that's 3% of our 100 million population. What do you do with that? We need the help. That's why nananawagan din po kami na if you want to help, please contact your LGUs. You contact also DILG, DOH. These are the organizations that are leading it nationally.
Ay, sir, na-mention nyo po yung private sector participation. May mga iba't iba po tayong NGOs, di ba yung advocacy nila is poverty reduction. So yung halimbawa po, paiigtingin po ba ng Administrasyong Duterte yung anti-poverty initiative at makikipagtulungan sa mga NGOs na hindi mangyayari uli o hindi mauulit yung nangyari nung panahon ng GMA administration dun sa Code NGO na pinagkakitaan yung anti-poverty initiative ng iba't ibang NGOs through treasury bonds.
I'm not totally aware of yung nangyari doon kay GMA. Of course, pagka bali-balita ang alam ko. But what I can say is what we've met with almost all the networks, from Code NGO to PRRM to Tanggol Kalikasan and now we're going to meet with the corporates. All of them are proposing very concrete measures. In fact, they're asking us, give us an area. How many schools do you need? How many kilometers? How many rehabilitation centers? How many are we treating? Can we work at this level? That's what they're asking us. Kaya kami nagmamadali din Kasi they're ready also So the issue of saying, how do we move for it? Actually, it's moving Ang kailangan lang namin at our level is to hasten also our approach kasi we need also to give them the numbers. Halimbawa, sabi we were meeting with the League of Corporate Foundations. Sabi nila, we are willing to go to regions that we don't have a presence with. But I tell you, they have a map already, nationwide. Where are they present? And they're willing to share it. Now, ang tanong nila, where do you want us to go? Are you willing to go to areas like, even Basilan, even Sulu? Yeah, tell us.
So,
are you willing to go to drugs areas? Yes.
So
But
yung gusto ko lang po sana maklaro, bibigyan ba ng pondo yung mga private NGOs? Magkakaroon ba sila ng access sa government funds? Like nung Code NGOs po nung panahon ni GMA, yun po yung question ko.
ma'am, ang belief ng itong administration is how do we work together in doing this? And we both have to come out with resources that will help the situation. Pag ang mangyayari is one depends on the other, most of the time nagkakaproblema din So how do we help each other get those funds? Ang sinasabi nila, we'll take care of some of them. Can you also, if you're doing this, can we make sure nagko-connect tayo? Halimbawa, ma'am, basic example. You put up a road. If people don't have training on livelihood and market access, it will take years before deliver nila yung vegetable o yung palay o yung corn para maganda ang pagkagawa niya at mabenta sa market na mas mataas na presyo. But if the NGOs are there, they can always say, okay, Ay, magtatayo pala kayo doon. O kami na bahala dito sa training na to. So ako, I don't like to dwell on the issue if we will give them money. Ako, what's more important is what are the outcomes that we want and how do we work together in this area, in this sector to do it. If we need additional funds, how do we work together to do it? Kasi ang kagandahan ng atin is how do we also bring back the spirit of voluntarism and willing to help based on your own resources. Kami, we've never been telling NGOs, we have money, join us. No, we don't tell. We always ask them, what do you want? What's your agenda? How do we proceed to there? How do we work together? So they will always tell us, we have some critics about your agenda. Okay. We have some projects. This is what we can do. Kulang kami ng ganito. What can you do? Ang sabi namin, kami din, kung titignan mo, that's only 3.3 trillion pesos. Pagdating sa budget, it cannot cover for everything. So ang kailangan is to multiply, to help others make it work out and help them do it. Ngayon, we don't want to go into measures that will be, controversial. What is important kasi is the outcome na kailangan dun sa baba.
Okay.
I hope nakatulong yun, ma'am.
Questions?
Ang point ko, sir, kasi yung prevention ng corruption.
Ay, totoo yan, ma'am. We will not, of course, this administration is standing very strongly against corruption. And we will not provide any mechanisms that will provide for that.
Questions? No more? Okay na tayo. Pero sorry yung sanang Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program under Duterte administration, sir.
Right now, ito yung inaayos po ni Ma'am Judy. When she first presented it to some discussions during the social development cluster, she was already telling of we have to improve on this kasi it's one of the programs na talagang direct ang impact talaga sa tao. So, hopefully when she gets invited also in this affair, she can share to you what are the latest strategies they're going to use for it.
Okay.
And I think the framework is a framework of not only providing provisions for your ability to work out your daily needs, but how does it connect to also economic adventures? Kasi lumalabas, a big portion ng mga tao, yung question ng nutrition, mukhang naaayos na eh. Ang problema, nakakakain sila, at least for the target 4 Ps, but wala silang livelihood. Eh di wala rin. How do we connect? And her administration in DSWD is working very hard on this.
Okay, thank you. No more questions? Presidential spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Thank you, sir.
I would like to thank ASEC George for a very substantial explanation regarding the programs that attend to the social needs of the government. Okay, I'd just like to touch on 2 or 3 points, and then we're open to questions. Number 1, Palace invites the UN to probe killings. Executive Secretary Salvador Medaldea said the Palace has sent the invitation to UN Special Rapporteur Agnes Calamard and is awaiting her response. In its invitation, the Palace also urged, and I think this is notable, the UN Rapporteur to include in her investigation the killings of law enforcers by drug suspects so that she could obtain an accurate perspective of the drug problem in the country. Next. Senator Leila de Lima is threatening to file charges against her detractors, including President Rodrigo Duterte, for the blatant abuse of power. She said she would seek the Supreme Court a writ of amparo and habeas date and come up with a test case on the limits of presidential immunity. This has been referred, I referred to Secretary Aguirre regarding this matter, and she said that the issue will not prosper. Also, third, President Rodrigo Duterte reiterated that he will not stay in position any longer once Filipinos ratify the new government. If these guys can hammer it out, itong hinihingi ng ating mga kababayang Muslim na federal government, if we can finish it in 2 or 3 years, I will go, I will resign. While adoption of the federal form of government is still in process, Duterte said he will focus on solving the country's drug problem first because pag hinayaan ko, it will destroy the next generation. There are other issues, but we'd like to open to questions.
Rose Navenario, Hataw.
Ay. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yung case pong i-file ni Senator De Lima against President Duterte at iba pa, tingin niyo po ba squid tactic ito para mailihis po yung drug trafficking case laban sa kanya?
Well, it does. It seems like it's some sort of a move to elude the focus on her. Okay, thank you. It looks like.
Maricel Halili on the Lima. Shona, you. Microphone, please.
Sir, how about yung invitation sa EU tsaka kay US President Barack Obama? Meron na po ba?
Sa alin po?
Invitation.
For what?
Obama and the EU. Kasi sabi niyo po sa UN pa lang kanina.
It's about to investigate. The UN rapporteur, yes. Okay.
Kay Obama, sir, and EU, meron na rin po ba?
Wala pong nababanggit na ganun. Okay.
Questions? Anne-Claire Nichols, CNN Philippines, then to be followed by Joseph Morong.
Hi, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Sir, about the invitation to the UN, can you give us a date when it was sent? And can you give us a little idea kung ano po yung content ng mismong invitation, aside from the fact that the president is also asking them to look into the killings of law enforcers? Meron pa po bang ibang nakalagay dun sa letter?
I can get you the details regarding that, but we can get you the details. A copy. We'll see we'll see what we can do regarding the matter. Okay. Thank you. Next question, please.
May follow-up question? Joseph Morong.
Sir,
Nichols.
Sir, on another topic, can we get your reaction on an opinion piece posted on the Bangkok Post? It's entitled Manila Sows ASEAN Unease, and it's basically about the supposed ongoing threats made by the president on ending friendships with allies, and it's saying that this will create policy problems for the Philippines and its friends and neighbors. Can we get a reaction?
Basically, we very well know that the relationship of the Philippines with the rest of the neighbors, ASEAN neighbors, are strong, and as witnessed by the fact that the trips have been made and assurances have been made on both sides, and also the rest of the coming trip to Brunei, for example. So as far as we know, our relationships, and based on policies also, our relationships with ASEAN countries remain fundamentally solid.
Sir, you don't believe that the public pronouncements can affect the relationships?
As you very well know, he has been received very well by ASEAN countries, by ASEAN leaders. In fact, even Japan, the emperor was supposed to be looking forward to meeting up with the president.
Pia? Your microphone, please, Pia. Thank you. Thank you,
So the
Pia.
president will meet with the Emperor of Japan when he visits Japan?
Well, it has been spoken about.
Sir, my real question is, dun po sa invitation sent to the UN rapporteur, was there any mention of his invitation to an open forum for him to question the UN rapporteur, the team?
I'm not privy to the details, but we'll find out about the details. Okay, thank you.
Dexter Ganibe?
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sa pag-iikot ng aming kasamahan kaninang umaga sa mga funeraria sa Metro Manila, marami ng mga bangkay ang hindi nakiklaim. Mayroong isang instance na isang funeraria dito sa lungsod ng Maynila na from August to October, 31 yung unclaimed mga binabanggit na mga napatay sa war on drugs. at walang mga kamag-anak na nagki-claim. Ang problema ngayon kung paano ito may hakbang ba ang gobyerno para dito? Kasi ang binabanggit kapag hindi na-claim sa ganitong period ay yung funeraria na mismo ang magpapalibing at gagastosan nila. Pero yun ang claim nila na hindi naman nila yung mga namamatay sa mga kalye.
It's a matter we'll refer to, we can forward the information to either to the SWD or to the DALG. Thank you.
Ian?
Hello, sir. Since the recently concluded military exercises are already deemed to be the last under his term, according to the President himself, and military exercises are under the Visiting Forces Agreement, is he expected soon to advise the Department of Foreign Affairs to serve notice of the VFA's termination?
As far as we know, the exercises were the last for this year, and I'm sure the matter will be under discussion with the department. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tina Mendez, Philippine Star.
Sir, good afternoon. In line with the President's visit to China, there is a call at the Senate to ratify the Treaty on the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, where we are a founding member. How soon can we get any call from the palace to expedite this?
We'll also have to check on that with the Office of the Executive Secretary regarding the timeline. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joseph Dempia.
Sir, good morning po. So yesterday, Justice Carpio was guest at the FIBLEX yata closing. And then he said that it is our duty, the government's duty, to protect the EEZ. And we do that by joint patrols, which the President does not want.
Okay.
So the implication is, the insinuation is that kung hindi pagpapatuloy yung joint patrols, the President might be amiss in his duty as per constitutional requirements, sir.
As per the president's decision, which has been carefully considered. He has his own alternatives regarding the matter, and he is fully aware of his responsibility regarding the EEZ. Thank you.
So, sir, he maintains na tama yung direction niya as far as stopping the joint patrols. Sir.
As far as we know, yes. Okay.
Is he open to probably talking to the president? I mean, talking to the Justice Carpio, because he's one of the individuals who raised the case to.
I'm sure if the justice were to approach him, they would have a dialogue.
So he's open, no?
That's my that's my considered opinion. Yes.
Okay, sir. Sige, sir. I think Senator De Lima, he said that Justice Aguirre said it will not prosper. How?
Simply because the president enjoys immunity while in office. Okay.
And it cannot be challenged.
As it stands, yes.
May follow-up question about Senator De Lima? No? Other topic? Pia, then Vance. Vance Fernandez. Microphone. Thank you.
Sir, good afternoon. Reaction po, sir, to what FBR said last night that President Duterte lacked a long-term strategic vision for the Philippines. Any reaction on this?
In fact, the president does have a long-term vision for the Philippines, especially based on the ambition 2040, which extends all the way to 2040. The president does have The president does have a long-term vision, and in fact, what Asek George just came up with has been the short, medium, towards the long-term vision. It's just that it hasn't really been expounded on. It's not public knowledge, but he does have a vision for that. In fact, even in his inaugural speech, he already said a comfortable life for all. It is basically a short, common phrase in order to be able to articulate what is already fully articulated in the Ambition 2040. 2040, right?
Sir, he also said that the country does not need to leave the U.S. in having friendlier relations with China.
True.
Any reaction on this?
True. The president, in fact, is talking about not just moving from an exclusive to an inclusive relationship. Basically, it's just being open. The president is opening up his options. Thank you.
Sir, he also said on drug war that law enforcers should just shoot to dissolve, not to shoot to kill. Do you agree?
He said that is the president, that is FBR's opinion, that it should shift from shoot to kill to shoot to disable.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you. Claire Nichols, to be
Sorry,
followed by
please.
Hannah and Joseph again.
Okay, please.
Sir, about the China visit lang, would you know now who's going? Because there's information that it's going to be a huge business delegation.
I'm not sure if it's huge, but it's going to be very large.
Hannah?
Any prominent personalities that you can tell us now?
At this
who's
stage, no. I
going?
think it's still being kept under wraps. Thank you.
So, Hannah?
Hi sir, patanong lang sir yung status po daw ng executive order kung kailan po mapipirmahan.
Which executive order?
Yung nationwide smoking ban,
Okay.
yung full implementation ng RH law,
RH
and
law.
yung Negros Island region sir, na dahil hindi nakasama sa budget
Okay.
pa.
We'll also check
And
on
one
that.
more sir,
Yes.
sinabi ni Comelec Chair Bautista na, Bautista, pinirmahan na daw last week ng Pangulo, yung regarding po doon sa hindi na pagtuloy sa elections, barangay elections.
Oh, we'll check on that. Okay.
Napirmahan daw last week.
Okay, Dexter, may question? And then follow-up question, then Joseph.
Secretary, a short follow-up lang. Doon sa
Yes.
question kanina ni Vance. Doon sa, kasi sa rules of engagement, di ba, wala namang shoot to kill or just shoot to disable.
Well, basically, the shoot to kill thing was in defense of oneself. You know, if you're that's the president's usual statement, is that if you see that your life is under danger, then you are to defend yourself properly.
Pero sir, nandun ba sa principle sa rules of engagement ng military or sa police?
Ang alin?
Yung self-defense na you have to kill talaga or you have to disable lang yung...
Well, let's put it this way. Based on what the president is saying, he said that if your life is under threat or your companion, then you are meant to defend yourself.
Okay, thank you, Dexter. Joseph, last question.
Sir, how are you going to, regarding China, how are we going to use the ruling of the tribunal to our advantage?
Which?
The tribunal decision, sir, how are we going to use that to our advantage?
Well, basically, the president has said that whatever negotiations eventually will be done will have to be done within the confine, within the perimeter, within the framework, within the framework of the tribunal ruling. So, but he's not going to begin with that. He's going to begin with negotiations, with as he calls it, a soft landing. Okay.
Sir, may reports yata na yung may mga Chinese Coast Guard, I think, that are patrolling and showing away our fishermen.
Okay.
Is this not a cause for concern for the government?
Like you
that,
said,
that China is flexing its muscle despite the ruling, sir.
well, as he said, it's not war is not an option. Force is not an option coming from us. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question na, I'm sorry, a follow-up, and then last question na natin si Anne.
Sec, si Pangulo po ba ang mag-open up about dun sa South China Sea issue or he will wait lang po na i-open up ito ng China?
Well, they're going to be having conversations, so let's let it unfold. Let's let the diplomatic processes unfold. Thank you.
Anne, last question.
Sir, can we just get your action on a tweet by the UK ambassador? Sir, meron siyang tinweet na photo listing yung aid na natatanggap ng Philippines from other countries. Third yung US, sir. This is particularly for victims of Yolanda. So, it seems like he's saying na you are getting a lot of help from other nations. After, sir, yung sinabi kasi ni President na dinedare niya na mag-withdraw ng aid yung ibang countries. So, can you give a reaction on that tweet na parang pinapaalalahanan tayo ng other countries about the aid?
As far as I understand the president, it's precisely this kind of attitude where, which I would say that he responds to, that aid should be aid and should not be used as a tool. You know, it should not be used as a tool. But more than that, from where the president is coming from, he's trying to remind the Filipino people to regain some sort of to gain some self-respect. Na to gain some self-respect. Yes, we accept aid and we respect and we are very grateful for these things. But these are not things that we depend on. These are not things that we seek out or are willing to back off on our principles simply because we're afraid to lose aid. So I believe in this case is where he is making a differentiation between state building and nation building. I believe the president at this stage is building up a case for nation building where the Filipinos should begin building upon his character and regain a sense of identity as Filipinos.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Secretary?
One more.
Okay, Ian, one last.
Last.
Totoo lang last.
One last.
Sir, President Duterte po mentioned in his recent speeches po na Amy Marcos helped fund his presidential campaign. Pero may news po kahapon na lumabas na yung contribution po na yon ni Miss Amy Marcos sa campaign po ni President Duterte hindi po nakalagay sa statement of contributions and expenditures na ipinasa po niya sa COMELEC. So what's the palace's reaction po to this?
Come again?
Yun po, di daw po nakadeclare yung donation po or di po nakaano siya sa SOSE na pinasa po ni Duterte.
We will follow up on that. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Malacañang Press Corps. Thank you, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Thank you, Ansek George. Back to our main studio sa Radyo ng Bayan at PTB4.
Thank you very much. Bye.